Well, it was Plum's birthday. This year, he asked for a gymnastics natty, the implosion of Kentucky basketball, and 10 fingers and toes on his first niece. 2 out of 3. Ain't bad. You're listening to Can't Read, Can't Write. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Can't Read, Can't Write, the podcast that proves Spartans can talk. I'm Mike Jones, joined as always by the man who collects bundles of sticks, Kevin Greck, and the man who overpaid for shitty foie gras. Almost said it.
Oh.
Alex Plum.
It's because I called it foie gras, and he was like, "Yeah, we're giving him the shit end of this one for sure." The spoiled.
I like that you took the week off and then came back and made the intro all about you.
Listen, when it's your birthday, you can do that. All right.
Congrats! Happy birthday!
Thank you. Mazel.
And congrats on your uncledom. This is the first one. Seriously?
Yes. Well, it's interesting because I have
made it this far.
Yeah, that's a question. I have several godchildren who refer to me as uncle, so that's nice. But not a bio nibbling, as it were. So,
did you say several? There are several people that have evaluated you and have found you to be truly the shepherd for their child's.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of high quality, high character people in my life as friends.
Yeah.
You two could attest to that.
Sure.
So,
yeah, we know.
Who are we blaming really here?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, but ourselves.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Well, the children.
Yep.
Wouldn't
The
want to
children,
be
for
the
sure.
member
Totally
of a club
much.
that would have you, sort
Very
of one of
much.
those types of those
That's
things.
right. That's exactly it. That's right.
Well, we do want to thank everyone for listening. If we could ask a small favor in honor of Plum's birthday, please share the pod with Spartans in your life. Rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can check out the YouTube channel at Spartan_pod. Plum really wants you to subscribe and comment. Make sure if you're listening to this, you say happy birthday. He will personally
And he
respond
will
to them.
answer
I'm going to
personally
answer.
every one of your comments. Whatever you
With a
write there,
roast.
Plum will see it and he will answer it with a roast and a limerick. Every single one.
The limerick is that's real effort. Damn it! A roast costs us nothing. Damn you!
You can of course follow us
Growing
on
the
Twitter and
engagement,
Instagram
Plum.
at Spartan_pod. Greg, what are we doing this week? You did some outlining.
Oh yeah, we got Greenwall. There's been a lot of media availability of this new coaching staff that we're all getting to know. Things are happening in men's basketball. There's been exiting the program. Now let's speculate about adding to the program. Speaking of which, same for hockey, and then gymnastics. Not a gymnastics school. Truly a nothing school at this point. There's nothing left for us. I don't know what we're going to talk about in the future. Then we go off Grand River, talk about a couple things going in the wide world of sports. I'm watching Purdue UConn here on my fourth screen, and we'll take those Twitter questions. So when Zach Edey fouls out, what's his name for UConn, I'll bring it to you live as it's happening.
Klingon? Is that what it is?
Klingon. Klingon. Oh, God, all these Purdue fans over here. Look at them all.
Yuck.
They're all
Yuck.
clapping. They're all happy
Yuck.
and glad.
No, thank you.
It's like 75% Purdue fans there. Not great. All right, let's head behind that green wall and chat some football. We did indeed have some media availability. We'll run through some highlights, and if anyone wants to comment, maybe just chime in. Does that sound like a
I
plan?
don't comment.
Great
Comments not really our thing.
Okay.
idea.
So, of course,
Very
we
good.
heard from head coach Jonathan Smith. Notable notes. They've not yet scrimmaged. They've done some tackling. It sounds like they're trying to walk a little bit more of a line than Mel did of, like, you need to hit people. We'll note that in years past, they stopped hitting people because they couldn't keep anyone healthy, but then still couldn't keep people healthy. So they're doing a little bit of hitting, some full tackling, but not yet scrimmaged. Also, practicing new helmet comms technology, which I don't think we actually covered that went official. But we got a situation.
Does anyone remember why college football decided that they needed to add comms to the helmets? I missed all of that. Plum, what
You
was
didn't catch
what
the
was
sign?
that? What precipitated that? Oh.
Yeah.
That was nice for you to have that moment with yourself.
Is this going to be the legacy of Michigan's entire cheating scandal? Is this going to be it?
This is
Is
it.
this
It's only us. We're the
truly-
only ones that still talk about it for sure.
Wow.
And that's okay. I think we've got a couple more years left. We could keep running this one down.
And you know that they're going to be like, well, they changed it the next year, so it wasn't even a big deal. They changed it because of you.
Yeah, that's not a very strong argument, I don't think.
When has that
Nope.
stopped them?
Yep.
Yeah, college football, famously proactive in its changing of rules and structures.
Yes.
That changing
Sorry.
it immediately the following season, not that big a deal. Clearly
That's right.
not an indication that this was a serious problem.
Oh, so dumb.
Last thing of note, Jonathan Smith was asked about the running back room, said nice things about each individual player, and then said, we still have work to do there, which...
I mean, good for him. Where are the lies? I don't think he's lying. Do you think he's lying? Of course not. He's
No.
naming fundamental truths. It's early April. We've got a scrimmage, hopefully, at some point this month. It's early. Where we will all see with our same eyes the same fucking thing he just said here. So I'm glad he's naming this. Put everybody on blast now. And I don't know if it changes anything, but at least he's level setting, because God knows at this point, Mel Tucker was selling us all even more bridges in Alaska that were going no place and fast. I don't know.
Also heard from secondary coach Blue Adams. I think the most notable thing that came out of his conversation was an affirmation that Dylan Tatum's playing at safety now.
Migrating his way on back to nickel, where he wants to be.
Yeah.
It's a slow, iterative process.
Very slow. Very slow. Very slow.
It's intriguing because it says more about what they think they have at cornerback, right? Because Dylan Tatum was a Big Ten starter caliber cornerback. That's not where he should be playing, but he held the position well. That tells me they think they've got folks there who can play.
It gives us something to watch for at that spring game that Plum just mentioned, which I do have to offer a retraction. Unfortunately, I will not be at the spring game. I'm going to be at the Lansing Blaze 420 Music Festival at Frandor Plaza during that time. Sean
good.
Kingston is playing. So sorry, Jess. If you're going to be in town, not going to see you like I promised last week. Going to be hanging with Sean Kingston during that time.
You know, that's one of Graham's sponsors.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I guess I would ask, whatever that institution is called, who did it better? Who did?
It's good. It's very good.
Maybe it's time to migrate some of our ad spend. I don't know.
Oh, there it is.
I don't know.
There it is. My God.
I will sing Dotty 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 Do, whatever it's actually called, on this podcast for some gummies, honestly, at this point, truly.
Might need it for getting through the spring and our upcoming basketball conversation. Other notes, Coach Maholchek, the offensive line coach, chatted for a while. I thought actually was one of the more interesting conversations. So some highlights. Tanner Miller, the transfer from Oregon State, who was an All-American, is going to be playing center for them for sure. He was Oregon State's backup center last year. Snapped with Aiden Childs at Oregon State. And started a couple games at center for Oregon State. It, played normally at guard, but when injury required it, he took over for a fifth-year senior who was out. Maholchek's mom also is a Spartan alum, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, this really stuck out to me. I felt bad for Coach Mahalchek because I don't know about you guys, but he told me, or he told us, that his mom had gone here, talked about going here, but he'd never been to campus before. And I was like, parents bring their kids back and you do all of those things. Like, he needs to go feed the ducks. He needs to go to the 4-H children's garden. He needs to go to the planetarium. He needs
dairy
to see,
store.
He needs to go to the dairy store. We need to take Coach Mahalchek to do all of those like next generation Spartan things that he missed out on in his youth so that he can like fully square that circle.
Yeah.
And then talk about football. Like, there are bigger things going on for Coach M right now than, you know, whether Tanner Miller's playing center or backup or guard or whatever it is. Like, there's just some human things that we need to cover with him first.
I do think it probably is useful, though, from a connecting him to it, not in a way that, say, maybe because Courtney Hawkins, for instance, didn't have the same experience that any of us had with Michigan State because he was a student athlete here, right?
Sure.
But that his mom went here, the way that Michigan State embeds itself into your whole being, such that you get into your 30s and decide to start a podcast about it, like, he has that connection to what Michigan State actually means to people, and I think that's pretty cool. I like that in a coach.
Unless he hates his mom, then maybe not.
Also true.
Was that covered?
Also no longer with us, so no. He also got asked that. Solari asked him that like 3 different times, and then he's like, "Yeah, she's not here anymore." So anyway. It's Lars like, oh yeah, I was going to ask that. Real awkward. After he literally just said she had passed. Last thing of note from Mahalchek, Greg, this is for you. He talked about the prototype of his offensive line recruit. So they need to be pretty athletic. The implication being that we're going to be running a lot of outside zone, which is different than what we ran under the Jay Johnson scheme, which was an inside zone scheme. So we're going to be pushing lateral a little bit more, but not big and tall. Like Mel Tucker days.
Good to know that there's still an athletic prototype that our coaching staff requires. Little unfortunate that it's a different athletic prototype than was previously recruited to MSU. A position group as well that they recruited particularly well at. So that's a nice little bonus. Little boop 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 boop.
He did say they're athletic.
Yep,
he said they're athletic.
That.
Sure,
we like that.
God, there was what was the comments we had several years ago about young men? I don't remember. It was inappropriate anyway. So maybe dispensing with those is probably also fine. I can't remember what it was.
It'll come to you.
Yeah.
Jordan Hall also interviewed, and 2 things of note here that were culture-based. So he told an anecdote about how Jonathan Smith said, hey, I want everyone to write down 3 things that they want changed from last season. I'm going to read them all personally and digest this information. Obviously, he got a fancy computer SaaS solution to solve for this.
Probably
SurveyMonkey
and text analytics suite. SurveyMonkey doesn't have text analytics, but you knew that.
You knew that.
Anyway, so Hall hops on the SurveyMonkey and starts inputting his information, and then instead of entering a 3rd thing, says, here's my number. Want to see if you really read these. Give me a call. And lo, Jonathan Smith gives him a call a day or 2 later and chatted it off with him. Also, Jordan Hall talked about being sold because of Joe Rossi doing the very Izzo thing with recruits. And instead of saying nice things about Hall, just said, here's everything that was not good for you last year. And he took kindly to that sort of critical coaching. So I don't think we're surprised that Jordan Hall is maybe the right kind of player to keep in your program, though.
Oh, 100%. Someone who sees through the bullshit. I think it's a good thing.
And then last two things, we also saw Tanner Miller and Jack Velling transfer from Oregon State. They both seem like great culture ads.
Yeah.
I, in particular, liked Velling was talking and at one point in time referred to himself as one of Coach Smith's guys and then immediately corrected himself as, I shouldn't say that. I'm a guy who's played in Coach Smith's system, which is sort of speaks to a lack of entitlement and that, that there's no one up that he has on other people. I thought that was a nuanced correction, but like super impressive from a culture standpoint, which doesn't win you games, but it is something that you recruit to.
Yeah.
Great.
And they're all Coach Smith's guys now, right?
Yep.
Like they've all had the opportunity to transfer. They've all opted to stay. I mean, there is going to be another transfer window, and every program in the country is going to have additional attrition, and we definitely will as well. But it's I agree. That sort of stands out that it didn't just linger there. He caught it and he was like, actually, let's clarify that, and then we'll move forward. So yeah, very good.
Good locker room stuff, which was a theme that the players spoke about as a problem last year. Too much ego, not enough connection, and so good start.
That wasn't covered in the brand dossier. The lack of connection was in there. Okay, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I do want one of those. If you have an NF Tuck or the brand dossier, reach out to us. We will pay a bounty for either of those two things.
And to be clear, we will pay more for the binder by quite a bit than an NF Tuck.
But also, I'll take the NF Tuck. I just want to hang out in that Discord room to just see if Tuck ever logs in. Just maybe one day he's like curious. And he's like, I wonder if anyone's hanging out in this Discord. Now I want to be there when it happens.
You gonna say you up and send him the eggplant emoji? All right, let's chat some men's basketball. Mark Montgomery has been hired away to the University of Detroit Mercy.
So long, Mark. So long.
Is it so long for you? Like Plum, like you got a new neighbor now, presumably,
I have a neighbor,
right?
Presumably he's moving into the house down the street. So that's a win. This is the second time he's left the program. Which I guess makes him a true Spartan finally. I don't know.
2 times by your count?
Played here.
Doubles?
The third time he's left.
3 times because he graduated and then he came back and coached, came back and coached, left.
Yeah. I don't know. Or maybe he's not, and maybe I should now to the point he's a true Titan because this is his second time saying yes to the University of Detroit Mercy. At any rate, good for him. Glad he's gone. Hope that Doug Wojcik is next out of the fucking building. Goodbye. Got to reset them all. And as I was reading his bio, Mark's bio on Michigan State's coaching page, I want to just remind everybody that the 23-24 recruiting class at Michigan State was ranked 5th nationally by 24/7. And I just want that to sit for a few seconds. I just want you to sit with it and hope and pray that some assistant coaches will rise to the level of being able to convert the talent that has been riding the bench thus far into something salvageable for the reputation of this program. Because God knows if AJ Hoggard returns, I will absolutely lose my mind.
Well, we're going to get to AJ here in a second, but Izzo says he's evaluating 5 to 7 guys. Indicates that there might be value in bringing someone younger onto his staff, which I have to assume.
I don't think that's what he said, Michael Jones. What he said was, it looks like college basketball tends to be going younger. He didn't say, I'm on board with this trend. He didn't say, that seems smart. He said, I've noticed this.
Also,
as
in fairness, at
to
69 years old,
each one of us in the chest on purpose. Sorry, go
50
ahead.
50 is younger for him.
Yes, it is.
So, youngers are is a relative word.
Mhm.
You've got to think that Borovich, the recruiting coordinator, who's the fourth assistant coach, could slide over. That has to be a leading name. There is an interesting one floating out on the internet right now that doesn't seem like BS.
Not
And
Tom.
that's Saudi
Hmm.
Washington. No, Saudi Washington.
This comes up. Mamopoleaf brought up Saudi Washington in her Twitter questions.
Oh.
And I was like, wrong program, Mamopoleaf. But continue, Jonesy. Tell me about this.
Well, I mean, obviously, the University of Michigan has made a change over there.
Mhm.
Saudi Washington, I believe, has interviewed a couple times now at Michigan State. Is a Lansing guy, and maybe is tired of being the bad guy.
Yeah.
I could appreciate saying I'd rather play for the good guys. I don't know. I mean, he's recruited well. That's also fair to say.
Yeah. I will say, so on that note, I was asked at one point what it's like if you go to MSU and you're a U of M fan, and it's like truly you're scum of the earth. Like, I have no
Yeah.
time for you. What's wrong with you? Just shut up and go away. And please expire, probably. But if you're an MSU fan at U of M, I think that means that you're probably you're a freedom fighter within a corrupt institution trying to bring it down
Yes.
from the inside.
There it is.
And if Saudi
Obviously.
Washington came over and said, I just brought down a corrupt institution from the
Correct.
inside, right? Look at their basketball program. Look at
Yeah,
what
he
happened.
kept giving Jawan
I-
testosterone and Adderall.
I might be bored then. I might be like, okay, yeah, let's go, bud. For sure. Or Manuel
I like that.
would probably be like, oh, shucks. Oh,
There it
they
is.
got me again over there.
Your
Very
Juwan
nice.
and Ward are very similar.
Very close.
There's some
just
overlap.
hair
The
breadth.
trouble is, I really like that bit, and now that Juwan Howard's gone, like, when am I going to get to use it anymore?
Yep.
So I got to figure out some way to like incorporate more food or like some kind of like full mouth
getting a little more
type of
Guttural.
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 Yeah, something in there.
There's something back there.
It's a work in progress.
All right. Well, we can keep workshopping on. How would Ward feel about Madi Sissoko entering the transfer portal? Because that also has happened, which just leaves us Jackson Kohler and Carson Cooper on the roster, and
Mm-hmm.
still not connected publicly to any centers in the transfer portal. Anyone? Feelings? How we doing?
Plum, how much absinthe did you have at dinner?
Just enough.
Mike Jones liquor.
I mean, truly, like, we're not there yet. It hasn't come to pass. But if Tom Izzo can look at this season, look at this situation, have Madi Sissoko leave, which at first I thought, truly that must mean that there was some kind of conversation, some kind of like
Sure.
true come to Jesus, let's discuss this conversation. But the fact that Madi's been gone, we're a little late to this story, for 5 or 6 days, and there still has not been any kind of official connection to his center in the transfer portal, when we're seeing a lot around the 4 situation, is tremendously concerning to me.
Baffling is the word you were looking for. there.
Baffling's a great word. Yes.
Baffling is the word. It's
What's also
go ahead.
I was just going to I'll tie it back quick to an analogy, and then I'll turn it to you, Plum. It reminds me of AJ Hoggard left his freshman year to go into his sophomore year. We had a point guard on the roster. And Tom said, I cannot have possibly idiocy at this position. I'm going to go out and get a point guard. And he brought in Tyson Walker.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how Tom and AJ Hoggard turned into a serviceable Big Ten point guard. Obviously, we've had our complaints, and no. I see that look, Plum. I have plenty of not nice things to say about AJ Hoggard. But the point is that it made more sense for Tyson to switch over to the 2 and AJ to play the 1. I don't know how Tom can't say from that lesson, from that moment, I can't go on another year and risk the possibilities that these jabronis don't develop again. I need to bring somebody in. And if they do develop, who cares? Great. Fantastic. Iron
They'll earn
sharpens
their
iron, as
spots.
the football kids like to say.
You got it.
Anyway, sorry, Plum. I interrupted you.
No, you said it well. I'm glad that Madi had the awareness and the knowledge to go. I have to think that was joint, but there are guys in the portal right now, and how we're not hearing any of this, more visits. I don't know what we need. More free cars. I know Matt Ishbia is under investigation for something now, but still give them money. I don't know, man. I don't know. And I got to say, with Madi leaving, I think for me, and I don't want to move us along too quickly, but the silence on replacing the 5. Okay, sure. Fine. We can get bent out of shape about that. But how the fuck has AJ not said anything? And why haven't I gotten an MSU basketball? Thank you for the memories, AJ. Like some heartfelt 1992 sitcom ending-esque, like, I need it yesterday. He's got to get out of here. And my challenge is that I want to begin cyberbullying to build the case. But then when he announces his departure, I'm going to be the bad guy. That's not fair. But if I feel like the universe doesn't help him decide to fuck all the way off, he will stay. And it will have been too late. And nothing could be worse than that. I mean, truly, nothing could be worse than AJ Hoggard staying another year. Because you called him passable, and that's offensive. Because if he's passable, it implies that he wouldn't do real harm to the program if he stayed. And I would challenge you on that. Okay.
Got to go.
All right.
But you could see where his sophomore year there was hope. His junior year ended with a high point, and then we all witnessed the hate crime we just experienced.
Very good.
And so
one of my all-time favorite titles for this podcast ever was Changing of the Hoggard, when it became clear that he was taking over the program.
We need to
reuse that one. Yeah.
Yes,
we need to reuse it.
Yes. If Plum's allowed to do the whole intro, I'm allowed to toot my own horn on this one. And that's exactly, Jonesy, what I was trying to work towards. That needs a part 2. I've been waiting to do Changing of the Hoggard Part 2 Electric Boogaloo for years now. And I want it so bad, and I have to wait another year. I might just quit life. I don't know. Things will happen. I went into House of Souls on Grand River Avenue this week because it was nice outside. So I did a little walkabout, be a tourist in your own town. And House of Souls is a sneaker shop on Grand River in East Lansing. And it also features AJ Hoggard branded paraphernalia. And I picked it up off the shelf. I wasn't expecting it, but I saw the logo and I audibly laughed out loud in front of everyone in the store. Because, my God, who in the world could ever buy that? And why is it still on shelves? Why isn't there a yellow clearance marker 95% off on that hooded sweatshirt already? I don't know. It's the current theme though, right? Or it's the continuous theme, Plum. It's roster management has been the Achilles heel of this program the entire time we've done this podcast.
Unwilling to do one simple thing. I don't know, man. Tom had a lot to fucking say there. And this is, I think, where if anyone from the media listens, anyone
anyone that didn't turn it off after I tried to go after his sponsor,
anyone who
Kingston bit.
anyone not named Chris Solari. This is the question, because Tom told a whole yarn about learning, about taking responsibility, about doing better, about getting into the portal, about holding guys accountable. There was a whole fucking yarn. Okay, good. So Marty's out. Great. But Marty wasn't your fucking problem. You've already developed guys who can come in after him. I mean, he was the problem, but I mean, there's at least options there. But AJ, if you let AJ stay on this fucking team.
Yeah.
Here's a question, because this seems like a real Sophie's choice, which I think I'm going to use this wrong because I usually do. But if the question was, he doesn't pull a 5 out of the center and AJ goes, or AJ stays, but we get a hell of a 5. What do you choose between those two terrific fucking options?
If AJ stays, if he's allowed to stay,
Mm-hmm.
I personally will contribute to the NIL fund of wherever Jeremy Fears goes. I will happily help him pack his bags, apologize to him for the inconvenience of having to be in East Lansing, and say, I'm very sorry. Like, and you know what? And then I'll say, hey, do you need me to go over to Xavier Booker's house? Your roommates? Does he need to pack too? Because I wouldn't trust a goddamn word Tom Izzo says. And I've already said that if he doesn't use the portal, I will never trust him again.
Good.
But yeah, I for sure, because it is a leadership thing. It's a culture thing. AJ has to go.
Good.
Get out.
Just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page. Kevin, do you want to co-sign this?
That guy.
I'm co-signed. I will personally go down to House of Souls myself, and I will burn all those AJ Hoggard NIL paraphernalias if that's what it takes to get him out of town.
Just happy.
In a non-hateful way.
No. There's no hate. I don't have enough energy to hate anybody except AJ Hoggard. What were we saying?
We have the energy to hate spectacularly. No, it's like, we appreciate your time, AJ, but you're like the elves. Your time has passed. It's time for you to get on the boats and head on off to wherever it is that they head off. I don't remember. I didn't read the Silmarillion. It was really dull.
Yeah.
Can I just say, I'm watching again on my 4th screen the national title game. One of the most frustrating things about the Final Four has been in Phoenix, there's a wall that has all the logos of all the participating teams. And seeing the Spartan helm over Zach Edey's shoulder as he shoots his 1 millionth free throw it just hurts so much to see him shooting the free throws again for the trillionth time. And then we're there, but we're also not there. I hate it. It's a little salt in the wound, twist of the knife that, anyway, I'm all riled up now. Zach Edey has like 15 points in 10 minutes in this game, by the way.
From the free throw line?
All from the free throw line, yeah, of course.
I want to be record. I just looked it up to see. Fucking Jeffrey Anderson is one of the referees tonight in this final.
Heinies?
You know what? Heinies. I gotta say, no one moves like that. No one's chiropractor ever told them to run like that. It's horse shit. Or as one of our listeners would say, horsed shit. So I reject it. Glad that Terry Oglesby's there. Fantastic official. Roger Ayers, do you really ever trust a guy whose hair is slicked back that much unless he's in the mob? Probably not. But God, Jeff Anderson, Jesus, fuck me in the ass. Criminy. No. Plum votes no on him. Completely no. And I'll tell you more to the point why. Jeffrey Anderson's been a Big Ten official this whole season, unlike Roger Ayers, and has given a fucking hard and hefty pass And so if I'm UConn, I am riding Anderson, riding him, because I'll never forgive. In fact, I might hate how the referees have officiated Zach Edey more than I personally hate AJ Hoggard. Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
I think I do. Because it is demonstrably unequal and unfair. And I can't live with that. So who cares?
Matt Painter told me that he gets fouled every possession, so
Truly
if Matt Painter said it-
truly horrible.
All right, should we talk some puck?
Let's talk some puck.
All right,
Hockey school.
I'm going to start. Trey Augustine announces he's back. I don't think this was ever in doubt, but it's still nice to hear. Freshman goalie for Michigan State. Fantastic player. Great to see him coming back.
The only starting goalie in the Big Ten that can't go to Fieldhouse. Maybe that's why he's so good. It's just wild, but especially with COVID, how like every other goalie on the planet was like 27. Like some of them had AARP cards, showing up at their college dorm room. And then Trey Augustine comes in and he's like, I'm 18, you guys. Second team all Big Ten. It's going to be spectacular having him back for at least one more year. Hopefully two. Two, please.
Very
2 years, please. Thank you.
Also, we pick up a transfer commit from Wisconsin, Charlie Stramel, 21st overall pick in last year's draft, two-time World Junior player. Nice pickup for the Spartans here.
And this is a guy that has played for Knights in the past, and things didn't really work out that great at Wisconsin. So if all of a sudden Knights can turn around a first overall pick and kind of like jettison him off, I got to think that really sets you up as a reputation both in the NHL and to future players of like, not only can this guy take high-end talent and like, maintain it and do well with it, but he can also do that. Like, oh, you're a bit of a project player. Oh, you're a bit on the rehab. You're a bit on the mend. He can do that too. So this is another opportunity to really raise the scale for the reputation of the program overall, which gets to the next. Oh, go ahead, Jonesy.
I wish we had someone we could ask hockey questions to, because I wonder if since the teams that draft these players are allowed to talk to the players, I wonder if any of them whisper anything about transferring to them, if they're allowed to whisper anything about transferring, like, hey, maybe you need a reset. I know a guy, if I knew someone who knew something about hockey, that would be an interesting question as to whether the team that owns the rights to you can do that. But you were segueing, Greg. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, there have been some players that have. We talked about how in football there's going to be some transfers. This has already happened in hockey as well. Some guys have hit the portal. Mostly people that you didn't hear their name this year. So actually, after coming off of being a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament and Big Ten champs for both regular season and tournament, on paper, this team might look better next season. So a lot to be excited about over at Munn Ice Arena. Those ticket prices are going up. I believe that information is starting to come out to season ticket holders, but make yourself available over at the Munn Ice Arena. Go ahead, because all indications are like this is going to be the hottest ticket in town next year. Who knows what's going to happen with football? It's going to be a rebuilding year one way or another. Basketball, who knows who Tom's going to bother to hire or bother to bring into the program. But Knights is building something right now.
It's cooking on that pizza deck. I think there's a can't read, can't write curse, because we did a cold open involving gymnastics and things did not go well for the ladies. After advancing the first round, which is great, they had about as miserable of an outing as they've ever had anywhere ever. at the regional finals, and that was not aided in any way, shape, or form by the judging. What I do feel very comfortable with is you can actually blame the officials in gymnastics. In basketball, you still got to put the ball in the hoop, right? Like you can always find some self-blame, but they just got hosed on the scores. I forget what event it was, but I think they only beat Utah by 0.025 in one event where Utah had to count a fall. Like Michigan State just had really bad scoring for them, and then also did not perform well, in fairness also. So that ends their run. Nikki Smith and Skyla Schultz are headed to nationals. Nikki on the beam and Skyla on the floor. So this is, I believe, year 3 now. We've talked about Michigan State sending individual representatives to national tournament or to the national competition. And they have, shocker, hand up. I don't follow gymnastics recruiting, but by all accounts, an incredible class coming in next year with some key big time talent to contribute. So that program continues to look bright and exciting.
Hockey and gymnastics school, everything else sucks.
Hey.
And tennis. Thank you, Mrs. Secchia, for your $10 million tennis dollars. Of course, who doesn't love $10 million worth of tennis?
And we got our eyes on Robin Freilich and what she's building over there.
Of course,
Dave Johnson,
of course.
Yeah.
But the things that it'd be nice if some of the other sports picked up their weight.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Shall we shout some things out?
Let's shout them out. Shout them out real quick. Let's do rapid fire.
All right.
Boom.
Give it a shout. Shout.
Okay. We're going to shout at Mom's Merc. I'm telling you, please, for the love of God, hop on 94 right now. Drive into Clear Lake. Just drive into the lake.
Grass Lake.
Escape your car. You're going to be hungry, terrified at that point in time. Head over to Mama's Mercantile and Eatery. Mention Can't Read, Can't Write sent you to the lake and then to the eatery and get 10% off of your bill by mentioning Can't Read, Can't Write. The food's really fantastic. The drinks are great. Cannot recommend it enough. Please check it out. Please tell them that Can't Read, Can't Write sent you. Also need to shout out some booze. So I think I'm the only one who got ready.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep it Michigan first. I'm having what's now, we established last week, a substandard Oberon over here.
Mm-hmm.
But Jonesy, what do you got?
I have the Amador Whiskey Company. It is a Kentucky bourbon whiskey finished in Chardonnay barrels. I think I've mentioned it before on the pod, but now everyone can see this beautiful bottle. It's a 65% corn, 20% wheat, 15% barley, small batch, 43 ABV. And the Chardonnay barrels actually do stand out. There's that hint, just slight hint of a buttery finish to it. It's quite nice. Cosign. Cheers.
Cosign. There we go. That's an 8 out of 10 on the likelihood to recommend scale. That makes Jonesy a promoter, an NPS promoter.
NPS promoter.
That's what we like to see. So NPS.
So I'm just going to fill up my survey monkey
200-point
right now.
scale.
Stupid.
So
stupid.
All right, let's head off Grand River. First bit of news, NCAA finally adapts to the West Virginia court ruling issuing a preliminary injunction against enforcing its transfer rules.
Correct.
And issues a new rule granting unlimited immediate transfers so long as certain academic standards are met. Great.
Yeah, no, it's right that the NCAA should be taking moves from West Virginia, well known and established as the most progressive state in the union, and one that we should all be taking a lead from. This is the sad state of affairs for the NCAA, right? Like, this is where we're at right now.
Well, I wonder how much is some of this started to spin, and then in some states, let's not pretend that sports mean a little bit more there.
Aha.
Is this Southern enough for that to count? To be able to say that sports mean
There it
more
is.
in West Virginia?
There it is.
It's SEC adjacent. It's wannabe SEC. This is how you fit in with the cool kids.
It
there
is wannabe SEC. That is for sure. Okay, continue.
Because I think we're seeing this in Tennessee and Florida as well in some of the court rulings that are happening there. It's about a competitive advantage, right?
Mhm.
And how you can enable. That said, I also think it's an indictment of the NCAA that to your point, well-known progressive state West Virginia is more progressive than the NCAA. The NCAA's response, though, it's maybe they're finally getting it. They did the right thing, but still grounded it in academics, which if they had tried to make that the through line this entire time, they might have had more success.
This is maybe a like peak season subject, but what do you guys think about that? Is it just another anachronism to pretend that academics are involved here at all, or should, as we've discussed on this podcast, college sports go the Ivy League route of being like, nope, firewall goes up. Student athletehood to some degree does matter to us, and we do need to find a way to maintain this. Do we throw it all away entirely, which is the direction that college athletics is headed on at like breakneck speed?
Yes.
Or does there need to be something at some point that differentiates this from just simply a professional feeder league that is loosely affiliated with universities? What do you think?
No, that's where we are now. This is a professional theater league. This is it. We're done. The cat's out of the bag. The ship has sailed. It's too late to care anymore. They're making the rules up as they go. The NCAA has zero integrity. It can offer nothing. Congress is broken. They're not going to fix anything. And so you have judges who are going to be issuing conflicting rulings, each stepping on each other's toes, trying to offer some clarity in an absolute wild, wild west. But what will never stop is the money. The money is out. Everyone has come to want it. The professional feeder program, this G-Ignite, it's gone. This is it. This is what we have left. And I was surprised I didn't see on the outline the sort of super league that has been proposed.
The 80 team.
They've finally named the thing we've all been saying was coming. It is what it is. This is just what it is. And we can decry it. It doesn't fucking matter. It's like me screaming about AJ Hoggard. No one's listening. He'll be back or he won't. That doesn't fucking matter. It's the money. It's just the fucking money. So
I think it's a shame that Tom had not been this articulate before and that other people aren't. But I am with him on the reality that the percentage of student athletes who can go pro anywhere, Tanzania to playing in the Maldives, like it's a tiny percentage of student athletes who can go do that. So for the rest of them, they do need a job afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And their degree should matter. So he's not wrong that the instant transfer does impact your graduation rate. Or for some players who enter the portal and then just find nowhere to go, their ability to access higher education, period.
Yeah, there's been a number of guys that have come through MSU, through the transfer portal or through high school recruiting, who just don't appear to be in sports anymore for one reason or another. And there's going to be a lot more guys that fall through the cracks now in this version of college athletics than did before. If you want to make an argument that the degrees that people were moved into were shams, that's fine. I think there's an argument to be made there. Some coach made that argument against the University of Michigan at some point. I don't remember who it was. Who can recall all of the details of those types of things? I mean, I remember one of friend of the pod got onboarded by Austin Thornton over at Spectrum Health in Grand Rapids. Austin Thornton sat across the table from him, signed him up for HR stuff. Like that kind of like there's a degree to which I'm with you, Jonesy. Like my MSU degree is probably the best investment I ever made in my entire life. And there, not to be overly naive, I had classes with student athletes. I know how infrequently they were there, but I also was roommates with people that worked at the Claire Bell Smith Center, and I know that they got one-on-one academic coaching for everything. So, Plum, I think you're absolutely right that the cat's out of the bag. Nothing's going back. It's all gas, no brakes. 80-team Super League. But Jonesy, I think you're right also in terms of like what's better for everyone. And then my question to you guys is, how sustainable is this? Like, are you guys going to care in 25 years if it's just like a brazen professional league? We might, because we came up in a time when it was different. But will those generations of students care?
That's a great question. I want to get to it, but I also want to say that the NCAA is fucking up here because they should also be saying, for all the clamoring, and I know we're going to get pushback for this very conversation, by people be saying like, why don't you want to support their livelihood? Blah 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 blah. Well, first of all, actually, we are literally making a pro-livelihood argument here in the aggregate. Now, if you're going to say that that's paternalism, fuck off. It's not, because you know who paternalism's actually from? It's from the NBA, who forces you to stay in for 1 year. It's from the NFL, who forces you to stay in for at least 3 years. So the idea, the NCAA and the schools via the NCAA should be making the argument that no, we are at our core an academic charter. People who come here, now that doesn't mean, to be very clear, that there aren't employment-related things happening and that the revenue's all screwed up, and that, like, I'm happy to put that conversation in an important box that should be had, because the schools have plenty of their own greed. Don't disagree. But the fact of the matter is that there can be and should be a meaningful argument to be made. The NCAA has just shot themselves in the dick every chance they've had. To your question, though, Greg, is this in the aggregate going to lose us fans? I don't think it's the place that I grew up in. The system in which this happened that I grew up in, it doesn't matter. It's the place. It's that I got to be in a building with 75,000 other people cheering for the same thing, who all lived some iteration of the common experience.
Yep, I had. That's right.
Yeah, right. Like, so yeah, I mean, the guys on the field now are pros. I mean, we're lamenting Dum Dum Hogard, and the only reason we're that furious at him is because of our bond to this place.
Because we remember a number 11, Drew Neitzel, who knew how to fucking play the position and wasn't making an egregious amount of fucking money to do it.
That dude could score.
From his heart. Who played from one of 3 Spartans with over 1,500 points, 500 assists. I mean, the guy was...
I thought you were going to say one of 3 Spartans that could brush his teeth with both hands. I thought that's where you were going with that at first. But
listeners at a certain age will not get that reference.
My Lord and my God.
I want to say I'm most pissed at AJ Hogard because I just looked at his NIL logo and it's stupid. It's dumb. It's just a circle that he fit AJH in. No one even cares about the H. Just go AJ. Oh, it's dumb. Transfer.
The only good thing that AJ Hogard offered anybody ever was those T-shirts that had him on it that said, "I've got the hog in me." That's the only redeeming. It's the only redeeming AJ Hoggard adjacent anything that exists.
I don't know. The University Wiener advertisements, pretty good. Pretty good
Yeah.
too.
Good.
All right, next up on Off Grand River, tons of smoke. I don't think this is official yet.
Although it's
tons of
being
smoke around.
accepted as official, which is
Yeah.
interesting.
John Calipari leaving Kentucky for Arkansas. Musselman just left for USC. Which not happy about that as a Big Ten fan. He's a good coach.
We get to see him take his shirt off more often, presumably, is what that means.
Muscle man, indeed. This is wild to me.
This is so outside of what happens in coaching. Like, Plum, you asked for this for your birthday. What made you think that this could potentially happen? Walk me through this from your perspective.
What 10 fingers and toes? little late humor. That's only because John Calipari has no fingers or toes. It's just stumps. He walks around on stumps. Well, the news has been suggesting that, in fact, this has been in the works since February, that he was strongly interested. Yes. Well, or the Tyson guy from Tyson Foods. But that also, he had also been strongly interested in the Ohio State job, but the timing didn't align. This is interesting to me. You have more money than God, well, other than Bill Self, at this program. You can theoretically pay players whatever the fuck you want, because it's not like Kentucky's got any moral or ethical umbrage whatsoever, nor have they ever. And you still can't win games. And so you're just jumping to another SEC program. But what's new here? Do you think you're going to recruit better players to Arkansas? God, no. So you just miserable with the program? Is it the 80? What do you not like about? I mean, I can get living in Lexington, real snooze. So sure, get the fuck out of Kentucky. But the context can't be better. And is living in Arkansas? Where is the University of Arkansas? Is it Little Rock? I don't know where it is. Fayetteville. Yeah, that can't be good. That can't be good at all. So, I don't know. But I've rooted against John Calipari's success and really that of Kentucky for my sentient life. This is wonderful. This beautiful, beautiful thing.
Maybe he's sort of returning to his roots in that, he had success at UMass, a school that, didn't have a storied program, and he wants to go somewhere.
He had success 15 years ago. I mean, this is my point, though. This is to your question, Kevin, around the where we are today with the state of college basketball and money. This is, I guess he must think that Arkansas has got deeper pockets than
it might.
The wells they throw unborn babies down. I mean, I don't know, because it has to be something with real and significant depth. It's the only thing that makes sense, because you would think normally that would be Kentucky. It certainly isn't Michigan State. It has to be something, though, because that's the only thing that matters in the state of basketball. It's not talent, and John Calipari can't teach talent. So I don't know. I'm very struck by this. Arkansas does not seem to be the place, and I think more to the question is, what the fuck happens to Kentucky? Who the hell do they recruit? April 8th.
Apparently, they're it was Healy, right? Dan Healy, the coach of Kentucky, Connecticut.
Are you gonna leave this UConn program where you've already won 2 championships?
I saw a quote somewhere that
they're up 6 points at the half. We're at the half right now.
Apparently, the amount of money that they would be interested in offering him is stupid.
Yeah, money.
But Plum, I think it's possible. I think it's entirely possible for the Calipari. It was not about money, and it was that maybe coaching at Kentucky is absolutely insufferable. And would you be surprised?
Oh
to
no,
find that
and I
out?
think that's fair. I think that's fair. But he's an insufferable cudge anyway, so who what are we surprised by?
Do you guys
Sure.
remember the transformation? Was it Billy Gillespie before him? The Billy Gillespie to Calipari transfer.
Yeah.
That was wild. That was some like outside the Buckingham Palace like stuff as it was happening. I remember ESPN
No,
had
it's
the cameras
Tubby Smith.
inside.
Oh
it
no, sorry.
Tubby?
No.
Wasn't it Tubby then Gillespie then him?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. I feel better about that. You had me doubting myself there for a moment, Michael. I mean, I don't think they're going to get Bobby Hurley. So I think Kentucky fans are going to find themselves wanting in this situation. I'm with you on that, Plum. And I also think, I don't know why you go to Arkansas. If you had a safe job at Kentucky, make them fire you. And then just ride off into the sunset.
That's all you doing, do, my guy. That's exactly it.
I think the only thing that makes sense is that Kentucky is terrible. The only thing that makes sense is Kentucky's terrible. He wanted to transfer in conference so that he could then go and smack them down year after year until he says, "I'm good here." That's the only thing that makes sense to me. And I'm here for it. I am fully on Team Calipari now. I want him to crush Kentucky every year.
Yeah.
It would give me joy.
Do you want to talk about Matt Ishbia on the outline here?
Speaking of about, it's all about the money. So Matt Ishbia is hitting with a RICO class action, which shorthand is racketeering. I guess RICO is technically the shorthand, but racketeering charges, alleging that his supposedly independent brokers were steering folks to higher cost mortgages than they needed to be. That they essentially left consumers out in the cold as it related to savings. Not great. This is not good. I don't know. He could be a lot less wealthy.
No one on this podcast is a subject matter expert in mortgages. From what I've read, this is a bit of a nothing burger.
No,
I'm just saying. I'm not saying that maybe he shouldn't get taken down. I'm not saying that what he's doing is not anti-competitive. I'm not saying those things. I'm saying there's not a lot of meat to this class action lawsuit, is what I've read in a couple places.
Though you do know about the National Realtors Association and their settlement recently?
That's true. That is a good point.
There's times are a changing in this industry. I certainly don't know enough about what the promises United Wholesale Mortgage made. More to the point.
Yeah. Can we talk about his voicemail? Did you guys see
I actually didn't see anything wrong with the voicemail other than he is as miserable as you might assume. But
do you have to be just kind of
right?
It was
broken inside to be older than us, but leave a voicemail like that? Like, can you imagine?
So good.
So seriously? Like, I can imagine us leaving a similar type voicemail to one another, like entirely in jest, but to do so seriously to a business associate.
It feels like something that would be in a sitcom that was written 2008, 2015, even maybe. Like, you could see that comedic sequence taking place, leaving said voicemail, and then someone else finds the like. It's too rich.
For anyone that's listening that hasn't seen this, basically, Matt Ishbia left a voicemail to a third-party broker about how much they're kicking the rear end of Rocket Mortgage and how
I'll see
they're
if I can
taking
get
him
the
down.
transcription, and you can just read it aloud, Greg.
Yeah. Put that there for me. Do you think it's sincere in any way? Like sometimes as I progress and I get to know, like get to work with people, like part of me wonders, like it's so dumb that maybe it comes back around again and it starts to be like sincere. Like there is actually a rivalry between him and Rocket Mortgage, and he thinks it does actually matter, and he does actually care, and it's like truly never enough for him, and he is going to choose to build a stupid roller coaster at his house in Birmingham, and like sometimes it's just so dumb that it becomes true. I don't know. I don't know if you guys are interested in this, but I would like to think that like when you're a 6 to 8 billionaire or whatever he is, that this is performance. But I start to wonder if actually this is how he sees the world.
Hey,
I don't know.
Plum.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk offline. One article is describing him as using an anti-gay slur.
Oh.
And I
What
was
is it?
like, well, I'm not saying
Say it.
here, but
Say it with a hard T. Go ahead.
no,
That's not
that's
the
why I was
one.
like, I don't think he used that. And then I
Oh, he used a different one.
reread the thing, and I'm like, is that anti-gay?
Is it queer? 'Cause
No.
Queer's been
No.
reclaimed.
I'm gonna go ahead and put the tweet in the chat so you've got it there. and you can
That's good.
just
Making me
weigh
say it.
in.
I want our
don't say
our
it. Don't say it.
listeners
Don't
to
say
see
it.
this. I get put in a position of having to slur myself and my own community on the air.
Not
This is
only
great.
that, but answer for the entire community and speak for them, Plum.
Yeah,
More
please.
Oh, that one. That is a.
Is that an
You know, I
anti-gay
don't
slur?
know. I think it probably is intended to be, right?
It's because it's meant to be degrading, right?
It's meant to be degrading. And anyone who's
Wait,
done it
how is that
knows
not
it's-
misogynistic? Also, like, what's to say that that's? It's
I gotta
degrading
say-
for sure. I just don't know
I
that
will
it's.
say- I will say, you've got to have a strong jaw. Yeah, I think that's the long short of it.
Everyone
Long-
over at the Rocket Mortgage, strong jaw.
Strong jaws.
Strong jaw. Really strong
All
jaw.
right. Do we want to talk about Juwan, or are we bored with that?
I think we're bored with that. Aren't we bored with that? I'm bored
Great.
with that.
So basically, listeners, Brendan Quinn, really good at The Athletic, wrote a piece allowing, finally, Juwan Howard to give his side of the story. He starts everything by saying, I take accountability, and then he gives like 5 minutes of excuses.
Yes.
But the thing that
Did
I thought was
BQ
most interesting...
cross-examine that at all?
No.
No. No.
In fairness,
Carrying the
I thought they did actually a pretty good job of being like, this is Juwan Howard's point of view. We're just...
We're staying out of
Publishing.
it, but we are giving him the fucking free airtime.
Yep.
That was
Why?
lazy.
Yeah.
It was lazy. But I agree with Kevin. They were explicitly. I think that's you said it expertly. You said it expertly. They held as little water as they could for water holders, and that's what they were doing. Let's be clear.
Mhm.
Giving airtime to a confirmed abuser of fellow colleagues at work, a workplace domestic abuser. That's who they were holding the water for in this one, and an insane person to boot. So really
I
great.
talked to a therapist. She said I was fine. I promise.
Yeah,
On the second
Literally.
session.
truly. Truly. It
I
was
spent like 10 minutes
beautiful.
reading the piece, and then I spent 15 minutes trying to figure out which South State Street restaurant has a second floor that he could check in through the back door of. Because I don't think that exists. I know that town actually pretty well, actually. And I looked at everything with a South State Street address, and I don't think any of those places have a second story. So I'll put it to you, Brendan Quinn. What are you hiding? What are you making up over there, bud?
There it is.
Hmm?
Wow. Wow.
No. South State Street's got some second floors. I used to get my hair cut in the second floor of a place on South State Street.
But not
South
a
State
restaurant.
Street?
What, did you get your hair cut at a fucking diner? What are you?
Well, yeah.
I'm just I'm just saying that there are places that have a second floor.
Oh, pa.
Pa.
All right, whatever.
Most pa.
Many, many
All right, let's do the
pas to
important
you.
topic, and then we'll get to the questions. We got to talk about the board.
Yeah. We've actually been putting
Okay.
this off. This is overdue. We should have talked about this weeks ago.
Years.
All right, listeners, it's become very clear that despite extremely damning evidence and reports, that the governor is not going to do anything here.
Yeah.
And so our ask, I think I can say our ask.
Yeah.
Is that if you care too, if you find the conduct of the board embarrassing and reprehensible and not in the best interest of the university, the alums, the students, the student athletes, and the taxpayers, then please contact the governor. Not once. Put it up for a regular cadence. I think there's bots that will do this for you now. You can set them up and it'll spam the governor. But beyond that, you got to look forward at additional new candidates.
And,
So,
and the
that's
reason
my
I
piece.
think that we need to bring this up is at first her excuse was, I'm in, like, what was it? She was in like South Korea or something like that. Like, oh, we don't have email over here. I can't be bothered to read the report.
Whitmer said
Never
that?
mind. I personally put my friend on the board to be my eyes and ears on the board. So interesting. But it's been weeks now. Nothing has been said. So you are going to have to be the change that you want to see in the world. Plum, did you say that you've already contacted someone over this?
Well, yes, I contacted her constituent services reps, the governor's office. You can just type in Gretchen Whitmer contact. There's
Yeah.
a form email you can fill out, which is worth doing. You can just say the Board of Trustees has submitted for your consideration a referral to remove 2 of its members.
Yep.
And when I called, I just politely told the person on the other end of the phone, she has an unenviable job, but she was elected. She's an alumna. This is her job.
Mm-hmm.
It's been properly referred to her. The report is clear and concise. Well, it's nothing concise actually, but it's very clear. It's damning. And the organization, the board, particularly the university, needs to heal and move forward, and it can't do that without her help. So do her job, remove these 2 people, follow the law, move forward. The one thing I will say, and I didn't say this on the phone call because it's irrelevant, I believe, and I could be corrected on this, I believe the legislature is still in session. And if the legislature is still in session, there is nothing the governor can do. By law, the legislature, while it is in session, is the only one with the power to impeach and then convict in the Senate those 2 individuals for what they did. And they were not referred to the House of Representatives in the Michigan legislature. They were referred to the governor, who would need to wait for the House and the Senate to go into recess, whereupon she would have to call for a public hearing where she would chair the meeting to hear basically from representatives of the Board of Trustees on why they should be. They're afforded a public hearing anyway in defense of themselves before the governor kicks them off. It is, but that's what the Michigan civil law says is the process. So while it stands today, I don't believe. Now, I tell you that I'm not sure about whether the House and the Senate are in session, and it's because technically the House and Senate, after they lost 2 Democrats in the midterms or the early spring, 2 Democrats won mayoral elections, I believe in Warren and Dearborn or Livonia or something.
But they don't
Garden
have the
City or
they don't have
something.
the majority anymore.
So they don't have the majority, but they didn't lose the majority, so they're still the speaker is still a Democrat. Anyway, this is more information anyone cares
Joe
about.
Tate,
But
MSU.
Joe Tate, MSU, still the
player.
speaker, but 50-50. So they're not doing
Why did those
anything
people run
right
for
now
office?
because they're schmucks.
Because
Schmucks.
of term limits. You don't
Because
have
of
term limits.
and because we don't pay enough for a professional legislature.
And
Salaries
you don't have
like
term
Most
limits
states
if
don't
you're a
have
mayor.
full-term legislatures like we do in Michigan. They're just
Well-
they're part of the year.
Well, that's probably
its
what
own
we should
problem.
do. We probably should go back to that and just pay the same amount of money, because I promise you we would get high quality people if they knew they only had to work for 2 months and could make $75,000. That would be great.
Yes.
So
Alas.
speaking of the State House, Plum, great job. Way to be the change that you want to see in the world. Snaps, all of that stuff. This week, I'm committing to this podcast that I'm going to contact Julie Brixey's office. She's my state rep. Next week, I'm going to contact Sam Singh's office. He's my state senator. And then we just have to keep doing this. You've got to keep the pressure on if you want to see this happen, because it's not going to happen under other circumstances. This is all very political, and the governor needs to understand that there is going to be pressure on her if she doesn't make the change. And you can make the change and still, I'm sure I don't know who they are, but I'm sure there are great candidates that meet the requirements of this board. Vassar has made certain accusations, I think might be the word, where, replace her with a very qualified, woman of color. Perfect. I'm sure there are hundreds of really good candidates for that the governor must know, and that just do that. Because the board as it exists today cannot do the business of the university, cannot be an oversight body, does not have the authority, just is a massive distraction, and it needs to change. So if you're in the state and you care about this, which I presume you do because you're listening to this, join me this week in contacting someone, whether it's the governor directly, whether it's your state rep, doesn't matter. Generally the pressure needs to be on these folks for this to happen.
Mm-hmm. And I will, in the show notes on YouTube, I will put in a link to ResistBot, which will automate this for you. So if you're feeling exceptionally lazy, make
Jonesy
that happen.
Tech, so yeah, that's how he looks at all this stuff.
Kevin, we work in tech, and I'm going to iterate on this. I'm going to find different things. If you put a pin in this and then move along, that'd be great. All right, let's take those Twitter questions. Let's rotate through them. So I'll read, Plum reads, Greg reads.
All right, why not? Yeah, why not?
Great. First up, listener Mike Jones. Will the NCAA ever learn their lesson and quit having championship games to start so late on Monday night? Greg, what's the score?
It's still at the half, so UConn's still up 6. But why is it on TBS? So the nightly news can be playing on CBS. Like, my God, why in the world are first 4 games on the 3-letter networks, but the national championship game is on Turner Broadcasting Systems? Oh my, just it's a mess. It's a huge mess. Plum.
Well. Win or lose? Mike Jones, I think Josh
Wrong question.
Kennedy. Oh, Wrong are we question. Already? Oh, no, it's okay. Who cares? Fine. No, I like it because Josh Kennedy is my friend too. Also, I didn't realize Josh was actually in our great. Win or lose, I think Josh Kennedy will win the can't read, can't write bracket group. The one person with Purdue winning it can't catch him. I didn't realize that Josh Kennedy had Purdue winning it all. That is upsetting to me. I now have to
Josh Kennedy does
him.
not. Josh Kennedy doesn't have Purdue winning it. The one person who does have Purdue winning it can't catch him. So Josh Kennedy is still in the clear.
Dear Josh,
apologies.
Thank you for not choosing Purdue. You'll understand what I mean tomorrow. Very good.
Plum is literally texting someone on the pod.
That's great.
And finally, this is not for Jonesy. It can only be for Plum. Did you eclipse at all, Plum?
I did eclipse at the clinic today. The page went out. We are outside watching the eclipse with our special sunglasses. And I came downstairs and we stood around. We used the little glasses. It was very fun. I read a New York Times article later on that talked about how much counterfeit fraud there is with the glasses, and then I convinced myself that I had
just a little wrinkle in all of this.
severe retinal damage. So, but I think I'm okay. I can still see you, and it's been 7.5 hours, so I think we're probably okay.
All clear.
Jonesy, did you attempt to eclipse from the East Coast, or were you just like, I don't see what you guys are all up to over there?
Yeah, I had a great view of it. I mean, it didn't go full black, but small sliver.
Interesting way to phrasing all of that. Okay, that's great.
Okay.
Well
Greg, you read now, and then we'll reverse it.
Oh
Nope. You read now, I'll read.
Okay. Next up from Mr. Erotic Pants, Jonesy, why do you as a man exist?
Oh Lord,
Unclear.
God. Fuck.
Unclear.
Unclear is
next
all
up-
that you have to offer him.
Well, I'm also getting a constant warning that my internet connection's unstable, so that's also throwing me right now.
Like a real man, unstable
It's
connections.
because your ISP doesn't
It's a Juwan Howard
respect
special.
you.
is the job.
Mhm.
Good.
Next up, Mr. Erotic Pants, Alex Plum. I just read that MSU lost to the Lugnuts 18-0. Why is MSU baseball such an afterthought? Should it be?
Well, you spelled it base bulk, and I guess that's your answer right there. The team's been bulking at bases for far too long, bulking at many things. But I don't know. I actually did not. If that's true, that's quite damning, I got to say, because the Lugnuts are not what we might call good.
Well, they're professional.
Well,
Correct.
that's a stretch. They're as professional as the Detroit City FC is at soccer. Like, oh,
no, they're more professional than that. And it was a midweek
what are they?
game.
Okay. Are they AAA, single A? I don't know how many A's.
They're double A.
Quadruple A, double A. That's not.
I think they're
that's
double.
not fucking. Fuck you. I know better than that horse shit. It's AAA or bust. I'm gonna fucking fly to whatever godforsaken part of Philly you're in just so I can kick your ass for double Aing me that way. To his question, why are you as a man?
I would love you to visit.
Wow.
I'd
Did
love
you
to
see,
visit.
Plum, how he brought that all the way around?
All
again?
the way around. Yep.
He took a physical threat and he was
did.
just like, I'm
Caring.
so thirsty for you to be around. I'm willing
need
to
that
look past that and
stash.
just like, I'm willing to take whatever.
Leave.
Whatever. If you're kicking my
All
ass,
right.
it means that you're here.
You love
and
me.
It
That's
would
good.
make my heart grow.
All right. Last up for Kevin Greg this week. Mr. Neurotic Pan says, Jake Boss dismisses exhibition game results. It didn't count, and I let the boys enjoy $1 beer right before the first pitch anyway. Izzo hands Madi Sissoko $10,000 in a lunch bag and a Greyhound ticket. Ferris State isn't too far away, but I don't want to see you during basketball season. Tucker offers to work the portal for Izzo and throw in a motivational phone call for free. It's good.
I like this because this 10K dollar amount is like, it's so quaint.
Small.
10K. It's like, oh, 10K in a lunch bag. Like, I would just head on up to Ferris State on a Greyhound. It's all so quaint and so from a
Remember Miles
simpler
Bridges?
time.
Yeah,
And the
literally.
$45 dinner or whatever.
That's right.
$45. Remember that?
We all remember that. Just goes to show he was always a lawbreaker. Always a disreputable charlatan,
Yep.
and lawbreaker. I won't
You
hear
remember he
otherwise.
served a suspension because of
Oh, we remember.
the recruitment of Miles Bridges and having his uncle work one of the MSU camps.
Uh-huh.
That's what used to happen in this game.
That's right.
Next up from Nate C. Plum, if Purdue wins it all, will that mean both times the one lost to the 16, the one turned around and won it all the next season? Should we lose to a 16 seed? I think actually he has it backwards for the Virginia. They won it all, and then they lost to a 16
And then they lost
seed,
to the
didn't they?
16. I think that's right. I think
What?
that's right.
Jonesy, you're saying no.
No?
I think it was. I think Nate has it right.
Okay. I trust Nate. Far
He
be it
sails
from
on
me.
boats. He's a boatsman.
Yep.
A coxswain, as it were. A boatsman's boatsman. Something. Words. But yes, that is it.
2019.
In some ways, while Michael looks at this, Nate, isn't it also fair to say that in some respects, playing with AJ Hoggard at the point, isn't that like losing to a 16 seed game after fucking game after fucking game? Isn't the soul damage, the psyche abuse that we've endured commensurate with the 1 seed loss to a 16? I would dare say it is. In other words, we're due for a come up. So that's Jeremy Fierce. Fix it.
I'm going to read this one and then go grab a beer while you all answer it. What's the closest Izzo will get to a national championship before he dies trying? Gentlemen.
I hope he dies
We
trying.
fully lost Greg, by the way.
Yeah, I think so. It's actually, I'll say this. It's a great. Oh,
he's back.
He's back. There's 2 of him. This is great because the frozen version of him is comely. It is a handsome guy. He looks
Greg, can we test your audio real quick?
Yes.
All right.
This is great. I hope the 4 of us are on the
whole
feed
time.
for YouTube.
I can't see the dead version of me.
No, we can.
It's actually.
Can.
I'm gonna screenshot this for you real quick because you're gonna want to make this your LinkedIn profile picture. Not even kidding.
It's
like really good.
This is like the Prestige, where there are 2 versions of me, but only one of us can live.
Yes. This is
also spoilers for the Prestige.
Greg, I just read this. I'm gonna go grab a beer. What's the closest Izzo will get to a national championship before he dies trying?
Yeah. I'm not seeing a lot of the trying of the
More to the
dying trying
That's
happening
it.
right now, Plum.
There it
I don't
is.
know about you, but
Nope.
I'd like to see something happen. Something, because he's got all the resources that he needs. He's just choosing not to use them in today's college basketball.
It has to be. He neither needs to begin dying or he has to begin trying. So it is one or the other. And I will go so far as to say, if it isn't trying, you need to begin actively dying, coach, because this is not acceptable. You're paid too much money. Your name, your face, they are blazoned and adorned countless garments and receptacles and fun things. Wax figurines. Tom. Damn you, Tom. So you tell AJ you're not ready to die yet. And so you're going to have to send his ass with $10,000 in a paper bag
on a Greyhound.
Fair estate on a Greyhound. And that will be that. And he'll be fucking thankful for it.
Yep.
So that's it. Kevin, what's the worst itch you've ever had? Where was it?
The worst itch I've ever had was when I picked that AJ Hoggard garment up off the shelf to just burn that whole place down. And I didn't do it. Because that's arson and maybe even murder. So I held back.
Yeah.
But I don't know what's going to happen the next time.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm so glad that this is being recorded and sent out over the internet. So that tonight, when House of Souls burns down, I will need an alibi.
Yes.
Great.
You're good.
Yep.
You're here right now.
Finally, from where are we at right now? From the Epidictor guy. Jonesy, what conspiracy theory would you like to start?
I don't have a good answer for this. I got to be honest.
Okay.
Wow.
Great. AJ Hoggard is made of waffle fries. He's just a walking waffle fry.
Vassar was at
So-
J6.
Dipped in AJ Hogarth sauce.
That's it. Good job. Michael Jones.
Carl, you do too. Oh, God.
Yeah, Carl, you do too much. Well, just Carl, you do. In the bleakest terms, will it ever be possible for women to sport without cretinous click farmers invoking trans panic? To my knowledge, there were no visibly out trans women in the tourney. Nonetheless, the Staley quote, which was innocuous, had a 24-hour outrage news cycle.
Keep reading.
Put another way, when the biggest stars, Clark, Cardoso, and so on, are cisgender women, how do you even shoehorn the issue? There's no cover. It's just, what if LeBron wore a skirt? Hypotheticals from 2014, but we're running it back in 2024. Do we have to denigrate the women's game? Thank you, fellas. I'll take my answer off the air, but I do hope Plum attains Mike wrecking levels of derisive sneering at the rubes he so detests. And to this, I'll add a quick editorial. I hope you were listening earlier as I came for AJ. So,
I will let you do the sneering here in a second. But did you guys see this?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
no, I didn't see the Staley quote.
So, Outkick, no surprise,
Yeah.
sends one of their buffoons to both the Iowa presser and the South Carolina presser. And the Iowa coach, who's escaping my name, is like, well, I've got a game to focus on. There's plenty of time for that in the offseason. Staley, to her credit, takes the question head on. And says, yeah, I would love trans women to play the game. And the questions surrounding trans population, we're already talking about a very small subset of the population,
Diminishingly small.
that all of the treatment is backed by doctors for the most part, or at least doctors with credibility. And then on top of that, we're talking about a population of people as it relates to asking questions of folks competing for an NCAA championship. We're talking about people who are talented enough. And to be clear, these three idiots here, the scout team, the managers for women's teams, are not talented enough to play at their level.
Correct.
Like the people who are capable of competing first would have to be trans in the first instance. Live that level of hate. And this question, to be clear, is hate.
To be fair.
And then compete at that level and then be able to achieve at that level. So the universe of issue that we're talking about is so infinitesimally small. But truly, also, though, Dawn Staley nailed it. Sure.
She did nail it because she doesn't give a fuck, because no one should give a fuck. And by the way, Clay Travis has got some real soul searching to do. And here I speak with authority.
If I know my Clay Travis, I think we can rely on him to do some soul searching. But continue.
Who the fuck names their publication Outkick? You couldn't have chosen a gayer name for your sports periodical if you told me tried.
That was an LGBTQ plus athlete journalism. I would have said
100%.
Do you know what the legal community is for that?
I don't know.
Outlaw.
There it is. And why wouldn't it be? Out anything. I mean, I'm sure I've participated in a gay kickball league called Outkick. I mean, it is flummoxing how the people on the right can be absolutely this ass fucking backward. And they are. And they can't help themselves. So, Clay, you dumb closet case. Fuck all the way off. And Tommy Logren and your whole staff of absolute fucktwits, get into therapy. Get the help you need. The amount of time you spend hating people who just exist is so sad. And in fact, makes me wonder what homicidal or other tendencies you have to possess, because how and whence does this vitriol come? How, to what end? To what end? I think, Michael, you've named the sheer odds of the reality are so just disproportionately small. And anyway, even if they weren't, as we've talked about so much on this pod already, the only thing anyone fucking cares about now is the money. And what gives the money? The quality of the sport. Do you think people would be tuning in if Caitlin Clark couldn't hit the kind of fucking threes that she did? Those games hit the records that they did in women's college basketball because she is an insanely talented athlete. Whether she's cis or a transgender should be irrelevant because it's the quality of the game that we're talking about. And trust me, any fucking right-wing asshole's like, oh, it's about the integrity of the game. Were you watching the women's college game 3 seasons ago? Were you watching it 2 seasons ago? When did you start watching it? And if you can honestly tell me it has nothing to do with the quality of the game, I won't believe you. Because, again, you named your periodical something very fucking gay, you dumb fucks. So, good for them.
If I may try something. First, I don't think there's anyone listening to this podcast that agrees with Outkick the coverage. I think that I'm preaching to the choir with this right now, but let me try this on. I think, Plum, you're absolutely right. This is a follow the money situation.
Yep.
Where Outkick gets additional clicks and additional coverage because there's a population of people that think that this is a real problem. And if you're in that population, has this ever mattered? Has this ever truly affected anyone?
Correct.
The answer is truly no.
Yep.
It has not. This just serves to marginalize people that are just trying to live their lives. People that were born into the wrong body and are working with doctors to help with their condition. And if you think that there's something to this argument that Outkick has, let me ask you, do you think Outkick really cares? Or do you think they just want to rile you up so that you'll click, so that you'll listen, so that you'll do those things? Because you and I, listener, that probably doesn't exist. Again, there's probably no one listening to this podcast that actually agrees with Outkick on this. But there's no one that this has truly ever affected. This is not a problem. This is just people trying to live their lives, and other people that have decided that hate and derision is a worthwhile cause to try to make their living on. Yep. And there's enough going on in sports. We talk about it every week. There's enough going on in sports that you can focus on, you get riled up about.
Yeah.
This is just not
it
on that list. It's just truly not.
Well said.
And for folks who might point to Leah Thomas as an exception to this rule, first of all, yes, an exception to this rule. And second, if the place you're willing to meet at is I'm willing to accept someone's gender identity, and I do care about the integrity of competition, you know what? Fine. There is a place and a space to accept the idea and notion that someone can be trapped in the wrong body and needs to gender transition, and that we should norm around what that looks like in a competitive space. There is a conversation to be had there, but it starts with accepting that transgender folks are human beings.
Yeah.
And that their gender identity is authentic and acceptable. So your problem isn't with that someone was born into a man's body and is now a woman. Your question is around competitive advantages that may be aligned with that.
Yep.
And so if you want to talk about testing for testosterone, for instance, or other hormonal levels. That's a conversation to be had. But like the idea that somehow there's all these sort of C+ men's athletes that are like, I'm so thirsty for a championship that I'm going to now claim to be a woman.
Yeah.
Just to win some gold medal. It's a problem that does not exist.
It's lunacy. It's lunacy.
So like
anyway,
there is a place to meet here, as I guess my point.
Yeah. But it certainly isn't giving any more fucking time to Outkick. Fuck all the way off. I'm bothered. In fact, that might be the biggest hate crime of all here, is they took that name.
It's just not available.
It's not available.
You can buy Outkick.net, and we'll just start publishing the pod from that platform.
Outkick.gay. All right. Next up, Kate Wall. Kevin Greg, I was watching Fear's highlights DK posted this week and had a thought. Do you see a little of Aaron Henry to Fear's offensive game? Not a great shooter, but strong with the ball and loves to jump, stop, then elevate to get a shot off at his spot in the lane.
I'll take your word for it, Kate. It's been so long since I've seen Jeremy Fears do anything on the court. Sure. Yeah, I'll take it. I did not see these highlights. I'm happy to have Fears back though. And an Aaron Henry game, I'd be okay with that out of my new starting point guard. And I would like for him so much to be our new starting point guard. Next up from Kate Wall, Jonesy, who was the MSU basketball player you grew up loving? Mine was Draymond.
I didn't watch Michigan State growing up. My family, my household was a Michigan household. So
it's the same for me. I was aware that they were really good at basketball. That was the narrative.
That was it.
I was like, oh, they're the good basketball one.
Yep.
But we weren't there really that long after campus. They were good at basketball. I'll say the first player that I'll give a couple answers.
Okay.
The first player that broke my heart was easily Ramar Morgan. Just never.
That was your first big letdown.
Quite lived up to the bill. First player that I think Shannon Brown has maybe fell in love with, but the one that led me to the sort of, this is a bit pre the popularization of analytics, but Paul Davis, like
that was mine.
I mean, dude shot 91% from the charity stripe and was a legitimate low post threat. There were, I don't know, those were, I can't pick a single one because I think we all came up in a time when Izzo was the program.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen so many people cycle through, and there's one through line to it all. But those were the sort of first three that got me hooked.
Well said.
Next up, Mamapa Leaf. Greg, it's spring cleaning time, so which action will be more efficient? You cleaning out your garage or Izzo cleaning up his coaching staff?
Tom, I would set fire to my garage. If you came over and you were like, I'll make big changes to the coaching staff if you burn this thing to the ground, I would be like,
done.
Get the gas. Get the gas, Tom. Let's go.
Your pyrotechnics today are a reoccurring theme.
I'm feeling I've got the voices
Fiery?
are in my head, Jonesy.
There it is. There it is.
Next up from the Mamapa Leaf, Plum, who's coming in as an assistant? We've kind of talked about this. Sadie Washington, Nolan Smith, or Laval Jordan, and why?
All three. Tom Izzo gives up some of his salary.
Cleaning house.
Puts Doug Wojcik on a Greyhound bus with a paper bag of $10,000 to Ferris State and says, I'm taking my own giant salary cut so I can afford these three knuckleheads. And we're off to win a national championship.
If he ever brought in Valentine, is that a sign? That's the sign,
I think
right?
That's the sign. That's the sign.
I mean,
except for
you can't bring in Valentine though.
Right.
Like he's an established head coach.
That's right.
Oh no, you can
as a coach in waiting, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah. Make him associate head coach. And anyway, Mark Montgomery had been at Northern Illinois and did fucking wonders there before he came back for his second stint as an assistant. So
Was
One
which
Loyola,
one was fired
same
for being a
difference.
piece of shit?
Wojcik, Doug.
Was
and then brought back.
Montgomery was not also a piece of shit?
No, he was fired for losing.
Oh, okay. So just Wojcik was fired for being a piece of shit.
Correct.
Do you think pieces of shit stop being pieces of shit?
No, they are always a piece of shit. This is the science of it. Next up, Spartan 18770. If it meant that all of your debts be paid off, would you take a 100% punch to the face by Mike the Iron Man Tyson? Mike Jones.
You call on me because you know the amount of debts that I have. Thank you, law school.
Shit, come look at my house.
Yes.
Let's talk about debts then. Yes, I would.
Yeah, no, probably the way that distinguishes my financial future is worth it.
Being reduced to a pink mist is worth it.
I mean, when you do have the literal conversation with yourself of, would my family... No, I want to be very clear. But there's a math to, would it be better if I wasn't around anymore?
Okay. Let's talk about the National Suicide Hotline now, everybody. If you
No.
are
I love life.
feeling-
I'm not leaving here, but there's a cold math to like. Yeah, okay. They're gonna collect against me.
Again,
That's
that number
fine.
is 988. Just dial 988. You can get connected immediately to a mental health therapist who can
So
get you
forgive student
support.
loans. Forgive student loans.
God.
All right, next up, Plum. Which will happen first? Izzo getting a player in the portal or Jay Powell cutting interest rates this year? Again,
Wow.
the interest rate is
770. What's going on? Are you
Are
okay?
you okay?
Bud?
988.
out.
988. You call Kevin Greck or call us. I think Jay Powell cutting interest rates this year is probably the most likely thing to happen. But my God, if Izzo doesn't get into that fucking portal, wow.
Greg, who has more credibility, the Flat Earth Society or Central Michigan University in the Stallions investigation?
It is fully and completely the Flat Earth Society. At least they attempt to answer the question. The postulates are wrong, but at least they give it a shot. And they provide something for the rest of us. Meanwhile, Central Michigan University is just like, ignore.
Nothing. I mean, they literally have just slept on this, and we're not pushing. How is it that we've let it go? Why?
Yes. Unforgivable.
They won a national
Our
championship
media.
by cheating all fucking season.
Yep.
And to bring it up is what are we like look sad or something? I mean,
And Plum, we'll tack onto it. It's not just that they cheated for a bulk of the season. It's also that they cheated the prior seasons, which let them win a bunch of games, which increased their recruiting standing. Like, it's a compounding effect. And so to any media members who happen to be listening, this is a story that needs to be answered. It's a shame that it has not been answered. And it's a failure of you and your brethren who have the resources.
And it's a failure of our athletic department to roll over on this kind of stuff. It's the same kind of stuff that gets us a game at Ford Field instead of Spartan Stadium.
Yep.
Where we could have made them uncomfortable and maybe even won that thing potentially. Probably not, given the head coaching situation at the time. But if we had retained our head coach because he wasn't a dip, that
isn't this
might
the
have been a
point?
competitive advantage for
and
us.
that's apparently what we should have done. We should have just circled the horses and been like, well, it wasn't that bad. Well, he said, she said, blah, 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 blah. No, we're not
Well,
going to
Alan,
get
I don't
anything.
think
We're
we
just
wanted-
going to.
Don't think
Alan,
we
I
wanted
call
to
up and
rotate
say,
him, but
I will
No,
never
none of that,
schedule a single game. A single game.
Yes. Correct. Yeah. I don't know why we roll over for this kind of stuff. I don't know why we choose to do it again and again and again.
Again,
I don't get it.
Fucking again. It is
Other programs don't do it. No one asks us to, but we choose
just
to do it
option
again
to
and again
fucking
and
do
again.
it. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Next up, Ali. Michael, will Mama's Mercantile get an NIL? I can see an awesome NIL opportunity with all the moms around the program.
Mm.
We want Mama's Mercantile to get an NIL with us. So if you
Yeah.
all could go to Mama's Mercantile and say that Can't Read, Can't Write sent you, that would be a huge favor. Please and thank you.
Most best. Most best. Yep. That's it.
I hadn't heard about this next one. How do you guys feel about Aiden Chiles signing an NIL deal with University Wiener? Does this spell doom for the Jonathan Smith era? First off, I've been to the University of Wiener this weekend. It's lovely. They're interacting with
other
us
people who
on
should be
social
giving
media.
us NIL money. You should
have
be
the
stopped
hats
giving
right
out
over here.
clout.
Right in the back. So we love the University Wiener here. I think, Ali, this is a new dawn, a new era for University Wiener. We're all moving on. And also, I'll remind you, Ali, Troy Holloman is also in all of those NIL commercials as well. It's not just AJ in his big, stupid, circular AJH logo that's so dumb.
So dumb.
Next up from Beppe Plum, Jonesy, what's the worst place you have traveled? Jones taught me that Idaho is basically the South. Funny thing, the South is known for their accent and extreme racism. Little fact, the reason for the accent comes from slavery days and their language causing a semantic shift. Now you know.
I loved it, and I did not know that. I didn't know it.
Worst place
What
I've
is the worst
traveled?
place you guys have ever visited?
Like actually visited? Like I
Yeah,
went
like
here
a vacation where you were just like, this sucks. I got to do something else. Go somewhere else.
I got a surprising answer.
Yeah?
New York.
Oh.
I think New York City sucks.
Okay.
10 out of 10 sucks.
Noted.
Okay.
No,
I wouldn't say
maybe
that's,
Boston's worse. Boston's worse.
That seems a lot.
New York is at least on a grid. Boston designed its roads based upon where the cows walked. So, you know. One of those is city planning, one is not.
Sitting planning by Bovine. That's interesting. Honestly, it's not that bad an answer. I would agree more with New York than with Boston, personally. Plum, has there been a place where you've been at and you've just been like, okay, why did I seek this out? This was a mistake.
It's the South. It is the South. I went to school in Atlanta for my public health degree, and I refereed a lot in the South, and I had to drive to Montgomery, Alabama more often than I should have to referee Auburn University of Montgomery, a NAIA school, and Birmingham, Alabama, same thing. Like, it's just there's no redeeming city in Alabama. Let's start there. But some of them are much, much worse than you would expect, or exactly as you would expect. At least Tennessee has some charm. Smoky Mountains, there's some stuff there. Alabama is a bad, sad, silly place. So that's, I guess, my answer.
I have said, and maybe on this podcast multiple times, that Northwestern's a nice place to visit. Evanston's a good little spot. You should make your way on over there.
Yep.
I've never truly meant it. I think I felt obligated to say that because it's sort of like quaint, but I would rather just be in various other neighborhoods in Chicago than Evanston 100% of the time. Evanston's a pain to get to. As of right now, the stadium is a dump. That will change. But I couldn't get out of Evanston fast enough every time I've been there. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe there's more to it. But I think I was being polite before. And I don't understand why you would ever seek Evanston out. That might be my answer.
Next up, from Beppe Plum, thinking of the Fermi, am I saying that right? Paradox?
Fermi.
What's most likely?
Fermi paradox.
Fermi.
That's good.
Fermi. That's all right. As I said it, A, we are in a human zoo for aliens. B, there is other life, but they're just smart enough that we do not understand them, similar to a horse and a human. Or C, we're the only civilization in the universe, either by God or by chance. Plum, Reverend Plum.
Yes. Yes, let me wax theological with you. While we're here on this lovely evening, it'll take me 45 minutes to discourse on.
We're at 2 hours.
I'm going to choose B. If you read Contact by Carl Sagan, it's basically the hypothesis of B. So I think it's more attractive. We haven't caught up to them mentally yet. And so since we're not there, they don't want to overwhelm, which is what they would be doing if they visited now. Because A seems too sad and C just seems impossible.
Yeah, I think Neil deGrasse Tyson talked about this. The separation of intellect, IQ, from humans to apes to humans, rather, is actually quite small.
Yeah.
But like, we would never be, if we saw a planet of apes, we truly would not be interested in that. Beyond like, oh, we found one.
Yes. Right. That's exactly it. Yeah.
So if you've got a species that's capable of travel of getting here, like, why are they interested in us?
They wouldn't be. Yep.
No.
Yep.
Next up, Cedar Village Bagel. Greg, this is for you. Name that bus.
I like how you guys are like, Fermi paradox. Let's keep this between the two of us. Greg, name that bus. I'm not going to say.
Do you want to weigh in on this?
Face. I'm not saying Bussy McBussface. It's
Cata.
Ah.
not happening.
Name it Cata.
Yeah.
Name it Cata. Name it Cata.
I'm going to name it Lawn Cata.
Nice.
I got a lot of good feedback on my Lawn Kappa joke from a few weeks ago. Still riding high on that. And I'm doubling down. Lawn Cata. That's the name of the next bus. Next up from the Cedar Village Bagel is Jonathan Smith, the most swagless coach we could have asked for, or as his complete devotion to football give him near mythical levels of football guys swag. It's almost like the lack of swag comes back around to be the most kind of swag.
That's
that concept.
Yep. No swag equals the most swag.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's it.
I kind of like that idea. Like, truly, his swag has come all the way back around the other side. Now it's like arch swag. Yep. It is such a contrast of styles between the 2022 Mel Tucker and what we have now with Jonathan Smith.
Whatever this is.
Whatever we got.
By the way, we have 0 commits.
Okay.
That's okay.
That was a problem with the last guy too. Next up from Beth Amaro, I got a bit. Oh my god, I got bit by a centipede last night, and the bright side is I found something more painful than the last 9 months of MSU sports. I hope you all find something to eclipse your painful memories of the 2023-2024 MSU football and basketball seasons, but I don't recommend tangling with a centipede.
She's right.
This is a Hawaii problem.
It's an islands problem for sure, having been in the Peace Corps.
Oh, boy.
On an island for 3 years.
Was this after you were in the honors college and before
and
that?
I turned down
when you turned down Michigan,
turned down U of M. Yeah, that's right. That's around the same time.
The U.
Yep. The U. God damn you. I don't even know if they bite as much as they secrete some sort of acid, and it is horrible. My host family went to pains to be like, don't touch them. And I was like, oh, come on. It's like, it's not a caterpillar. Oh my God. So yeah, bad. Very, very bad.
Next, Plum, did you look directly into the eclipse?
Very presidential.
Do your best Trump impression.
Yeah, Thank you very much. I did, but I had the sunglasses, so I just hope that they were not counterfeits. I hope I wake up tomorrow morning still able to see.
Greg, is anybody on Kentucky's team that would be a good transfer get?
This team lost to Oakland, a team that we beat soundly. So transitive property in sports means no, thank you.
No, thank you, please.
Bums.
And
Bums.
Michael Jones. Can you envision any scenario where Izzo would do what Calipari did in Jump Ship?
Yeah, if
It's a good question.
Hogard says he's coming back and
Okay.
nothing Tom can do to stop him.
That's
Yeah,
great.
this might become an Arkansas podcast if Hogard comes back.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
All right, gentlemen, it's good to have us all back together. Plum, happy birthday. And as always, go green.
Go away!
Go white.